Hey everyone, I noticed that there's just a few people that I don't actually know who are following us on our Facebook page, and who knows who's watching this too. So I just thought I would give a little bit of an introduction. My name is Melanie, and I'm an educational assistant as my day job, and then I'm also a mom of 3 awesome kids, all teenagers. Gracie, who's doing the videos with me, she's diagnosed with autism, alcohol-related neurological disorder, anxiety, MID, ADHD combined. I think that's it. Lots of letters beside her name. And it sounds a lot worse than what it is. It is what it is, and she's a joy, and you'd never know that she's got all those letters beside her name. Anyway, this video is a follow-up to the video that I did with Grace, which is about what I want my teachers to know, or what I wish my teachers knew about me. And she started off by saying, like, I just want them to know how awesome I am, which I think is great. And I think it's really important to remember to share all those strengths with the teachers as well. You go into these meetings and meet the teachers and the EAs if you're lucky, and, school staff, and you talk about their struggles, basically, because you want to make sure that their needs are met. And especially coming up, IEPs are going to be due. They are due within 30 school days. It gives the teacher a chance to get to know your child, and hopefully parents have input on the IEP. Make sure to ask the school about that. Some schools will put an IEP together of what they think is what should be on it, and then they'll send it home. I never sign my IEPs in pen right off the bat. I read the whole thing right through, and will mark, in pencil if I want any changes to be done. Still not signed, I send that back, and then they make the changes and will send it for me to sign. It was interesting, Gracie mentioned that she learns differently. That's how she worded it, and that's how we've always explained autism to her. We've never ever said that she can't learn, or things are hard. And I mean, things are hard with having autism, for sure, but things are hard for everybody. And we always make sure that she knows that she just learns in a different way. Her brain is set up just like everybody's brain is different. Everybody's eyes are different. Everybody's hair is different. We are all different people, and the brain is no different. So we've just always told her that you just learn in a different way. And sometimes teachers and EAs and parents, we struggle with knowing exactly how they learn, and what's the easiest way for our kids to learn. The more you get to know somebody, the more you can help them out, for sure. But I just wanted to put that out there that she's smart just like everybody else, and she just learns in a different way. That's it. And different doesn't need to be a bad word. I think different is great, and I think it's important to be different. And, it makes the world a more colorful place, and it's great. So one of the things that Gracie mentioned was to explain it to me more, and it's important to speak not slow, but just very clear, and maybe more simpler terms. Even after the lesson, she had an awesome teacher. He was her English teacher in grade 9. Hey, Mr. Weiser. And one thing that he used to do is he would call the kids up to the kids that he knew would be struggling a little bit. He would call them up to his desk, and they would talk about what he had just taught in the lesson. And then he would always ask the kids questions in class. So what he would do was ask the kids what question they wanted to answer, and they would go over the answer together, which I thought was really cool, because they get a chance to put their hand up and feel like they've accomplished something and are smart just like everybody else. So it was really, really inclusive, which is totally awesome. And we were very grateful for that too. One of the other things that we had done, with her, she had a religion teacher that we were in touch with. Once a week, she would send all the lessons. Not all teachers have their whole week planned out, but if they do, they would send us the weekly plan. English teacher too, he would send us what books we were going to read, what movies they might be watching and have to do a report on. That was the other thing. Some of the books that they read, they make movies out of. you have to be careful because sometimes the movies are quite different than the book. But if they are the same, it was great for us to read the book and then we would watch the movie. So, and talk about it. We could pause it and we can talk about what's going on. So that was awesome. The note taking, that's an important one. A lot of kids have a really hard time with the, just the visual processing of, looking at the board, having to look back down at their paper, remember what they have to write it down, and then look up at the board. They tend to lose their spot of where they were started, forget the word from the time they look at the chalkboard to the paper, or it just takes them longer because their fine motor skills are a little behind and they can't write as fast as everybody else. So I like the idea of giving her the notes, if the teacher can print them out and then they're just in her binder and she can go over them and highlight the important parts. Or, giving her a section to write, because it's important that she still learn how to print and stuff and do some of the work that's expected of her for sure. With writing, if it's a class where writing isn't the important part, like that's not, it could just be, you want to get the information out of her. It's too hard sometimes for her to write at the same time as she's trying to explain or write a story or whatever. So if somebody can scribe for her, that goes a long, long way. She can get so much more out if she can just sit there and tell you the answer as opposed to having to write it down as well, because now you've piled on fine motor skills and thought and having to answer in the whole bit. So it's too much. So scribing, our kids are typing on their iPhones and their iPads and their computers and stuff so much. I don't feel that the need to print is as important as it used to be. For sure, it's important. Your kids should know how to print. That's just a life skill that everybody should have. But if it's not a writing class or a printing class or, printing activity, if it can be scribed, if it's something like history or geography and you just want some information, I would just, if possible, have somebody scribe so you can get the real information out of them and know, you can find out what they know more by having somebody scribe for them. I like how she was saying that it's okay to ask for help. And I know that some of our kids are a little bit embarrassed to ask for help. So that's why there are some pretty secretive ways. If a child just needs, if they just need to get out because they are overwhelmed, simply putting an eraser at the corner of their desk and walking out, that allows the teacher to know that they just needed to go for a walk. They just needed a break, and that's their break card, really, and nobody knows because it's just an eraser that's on their desk, right? Putting schedules and stuff inside the binder, where nobody else can see. Breaking down the tasks is really, really good for her, and I'm sure for a lot of kids. Even writing tests, she had one on Shakespeare last year, and she failed the test that they were writing. But once they broke it down into, I think it was Acts 1 and 2 were one day, or no, she had Act 1 on Monday, Act 2 on Tuesday, Act 3 on Wednesday, Act 4 and Act 5 on the following days. Breaking it up like that allowed her to just write, 3 answers. That's all she had was 3 questions per day. And she was able to go over each act the night before. So that really, really helped her. And she ended up, I think, with an 85 or something in Shakespeare, which is a whole other language, which was incredible. So, just kind of figuring out their learning style and trying different things out, I think, is really important. If you notice, Gracie was laughing while we were doing the video and stuff. She was frustrated. We had done the introduction take, I don't know how many times, at least 10 times, just because I was wanting her to say what I wish my teachers knew, not what they need to know, because, we're not bossy like that. We're not going to tell teachers what they need to know. Anyway, so she was kind of laughing, and she's been shy on these things too. So when Gracie is upset or frustrated or nervous, she kind of has the opposite effect of showing her emotions the way the rest of us would. So where we might cry, she'll laugh. She would go from laughing to screaming to crying to laughing again to this possessed little girl, which she had the meltdowns when she was younger, and even as she's older, she will she laughs more often than cries, but it actually means that she's upset about something. So that's just something to be aware of too. Sometimes kids have a hard time showing their emotions the way you would expect them to. One of the things I'd like the teachers to know is that no kid really acts out just for the sake of acting out. They're not aggressive just to be aggressive and to not be very nice. Usually there's something. There's always a reason, and sometimes they go from 0 to 10 and we have no clue what that reason is. But it could be anything from a smell, a sound, a change in routine. You know, our kids are just still learning how to figure that stuff out. And patience, I think. Patience, acceptance, guidance. I don't think we can ask for much more than that.